recording?
Yes, sir.
Pranam to all of you, all the participants. This time, this is our IKS-TKDL workshop 10. So it's on traditional knowledge, intellectual property, and people's rights. So we are very delighted that we have our esteemed participants. So today we'll start with ma'am's session. Ma'am, Dr. Sattigeri Madam, the head of TKDL unit. So TKDL is a defensive tool to protect our TK, traditional knowledge, and it contains more than 5 lakhs formulations and practices. Ma'am will talk about the overview of expense and TK inspired innovations. So we'll enjoy ma'am's session. Then tomorrow we'll have our Kumar sir's session on intellectual property rights. Then the first session, Murthy sir session will be it's rescheduled to on Wednesday. So that's on overview of Indian knowledge systems, how it is its work with its indigenous framework, Parampara, Drishti, and Laukika Prayojanam. So on the third day, sir will talk about Indian knowledge systems more. Then next 2 days, on Friday, on Thursday and Friday, we'll have uh, the ethical aspects of traditional knowledge, how we can handle ethically TK, and 2 dimension of protection to TK. That is, one is defensive, another is positive. 2 dimension will be explored. So we'll have mainly 5 sessions from Monday to Friday. Every session will be followed by assessment, a short assessment, 10 minutes. There will be 5 MCQs. We request all of you, please participate. Everyday assessment after the session, then we'll go to question and answer session. And as per the instruction, only those who will receive the certificate secure 75% marks, including final assessment. Final assessment will be held on Monday, next Monday. Then after a gap, we'll go to our interactive session, that is on 30th April. So we request ma'am, please start your session. We'll enjoy, then we'll go to our assessment session. Let's start with mantra. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Pranam ma'am, please start.
Pranam,
Could you please share your screen?
Yes. Namaste to all the participants who have joined us for the 10th workshop on Indian traditional knowledge, the intellectual property rights and the people's rights. So today we are going to have a slight change, as Dr. Piyush had mentioned. The first talk would be mine, and Professor Murthy, who was to give today's talk, will be speaking on Wednesday. So let me get started. So today, all that I would be talking to you is about the expanse and significance of Indian traditional knowledge and how TK happens to inspire innovations even now. Am I audible? Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. You're on.
Okay, and the slides are moving, right?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank
Yes.
you. So The Traditional Knowledge Digital Library is a very unique initiative from the Government of India. It is being run by the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, to which I belong. And the TKDL happens to be a joint initiative of the CSIR and the Department of Indian Systems of Medicine and Homeopathy, which is now the Ministry of Ayush. We'll get to know more about the TKDL in the days to come, but I just wanted to introduce you to the TKDL. It's the first of its kind globally, a traditional knowledge prior art database where we connect traditional. I request all of you to please mute yourselves. Do not open your mic because it's going to disturb us a lot and it will disturb all the other participants as well. So unless required, please do not open your mics for discussion. You will be given an opportunity to raise your questions and we will answer all of that towards the end of the session. So yeah, as I was telling you, the Traditional Non-Means Digital Library is a very unique initiative from the Government of India where we connect traditional terminologies and the modern terminologies so that, we are able to understand our own traditional knowledge and appreciate the value that our heritage provides. Alongside, we were very fortunate to have a memorandum of understanding with the Indian Knowledge Systems Division of the Ministry of Education, our partner for this program. And as you all know, that the IKS division works towards preserving and disseminating our Indian knowledge system so that it reaches its societal applications. So they are focused on the parampara, the drishti, the laukika prayojana, which you will get to hear more about on Wednesday from Professor Murthy. So today's workshop, as Mr. Piyush has mentioned, it is a week-long session followed by the assessment next Monday. So every day from today to Friday, you will have 1.5 hour session in the afternoon, and we will talk to you about different aspects of traditional knowledge, the intellectual property rights, as well as the people's rights. Then after the session on
Sorry, ma'am, you are not audible. Your mic is mute.
are you able to see my slides?
Yes.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, so we are on this
Yes,
program
ma'am.
schedule slide.
Visible.
Okay, so all this has been given in the brochure, but to quickly tell you about the way we had planned is to talk to you about the importance of Indian knowledge systems. So although there is a slight shift, with the schedules, the day one will be covered on day three, but we will be starting with the expanse and the significance of traditional knowledge. Sorry. You'll get to know more about just the general aspects of intellectual property rights with specific case studies tomorrow, followed by Professor Murthy's talk of the Indian knowledge systems, its relevance and importance in the changing world. On day four, you'll be talking about the protection of traditional knowledge. There are two very important aspects called the defensive and positive protection of traditional knowledge. Herein, we will give you a details of the traditional knowledge digital library as well. On day five, we'll be talking about the ethical aspects related to traditional knowledge. How do we need to work with it? How do we need to handle traditional knowledge and people's rights? So on day six will be your assessment, and then we will have an interactive session on the 30th. So today I will go into talking about the overview of the expanse and significance of Indian traditional knowledge and how TK inspires innovations even today. So to begin with, traditional knowledge has no specific definition. There is nothing like, we call a particular set of skills or practices as traditional knowledge, whatever we have inherited from our forefathers and which runs over at least 3 generations of time. And perhaps a little more than 100 years old, we call it all traditional knowledge. And in India, we've been very lucky because much of our traditional knowledge has got codified. That is, there is a text related to our Indian traditional knowledge. It could be manuscripts as well. And then there is a running knowledge that goes as oral traditional knowledge. So when we talk of the traditional knowledge of India, the expanse is so large that it covers right from the Vedas to Upanishads to Sahitya, and many other poetry and so on and so forth. a specific subject matter, that it could be medicine, it could be agriculture, it could be food, it could be cosmetics, it could be very different aspects, even including the stone inscriptions, the rock inscriptions, the architecture, and so on and so forth. With this expanse, I'm sorry. I'd also like to mention that when we talk of traditional knowledge, the other form of traditional knowledge besides the codified is the oral traditional knowledge. So if you look into the past, you would see Gurukul systems where the guru still teaches the students in terms of whatever is the subject matter that they are to learn. Typically, we have seen it for learning the Vedas, the Upanishads, the Sahityas, and so on and so forth. And of course, stories still remain a very important aspect of how traditional knowledge has been traversing between generations. And of course, we've been fortunate enough to have elders of the society, of the communities who still practice those traditional cultural expressions and ensure that the heritage is taken forward. Of course, we do also have the manuscripts today. I'm sure all of you would have heard about the Gyan Bharata mission under the Ministry of Culture, which is documenting and digitizing a lot of our manuscripts, and they have covered close to about 45 lakh manuscripts so far in terms of digitization. So when we talk of our Indian systems of Indian knowledge systems, often the concern is that is it relevant to current times? Okay, and often in the past, our Indian knowledge systems had been dismissed as mere superstitions. Something which did not have a scientific basis and so on and so forth. But thanks to the national education policy and the different initiatives from not only the government of India but several organizations outside of the government and also individuals, we've still been able to take forward our heritage. If you look at the ancient systems of education in India, if you look at the basis, the foundational elements on which it has grown, it is called the Nyaya Shastra, the Pramana Shastra. It talks about the science of correct knowledge, and it is based on 4 pillars. That is the subject, Pramatra, object, Prameya, cognition, that is Pramiti, and the nature of knowledge, that is Pramana. The reason why we are starting with this information is to say that when we talk of Indian knowledge systems, you need to appreciate that it has a logic behind, it has a rationale, and it has been grown on a very strong foundation of what is right and what is wrong. So not everything that we talk of our heritage can be really pushed away or rubbed away as superstitions and blind beliefs. So even in terms of the acquiring correct knowledge, the 4 pramanas that have been talked about in our Nyaya Shastra, it talks about pratyaksha, that is the direct perception. So when you look at certain things, you realize that this is true. So facts are based on the pratyaksha. Then you infer certain things based on certain elements, which are projected to you. It is called the anumana. When you talk of upamana, that is an analogy. It is by giving an example. There is something that you gain through that aspect as well. And of course, the Shabda or verbal testimony. In fact, even if we are to refer to the Indian systems of medicine that the TKDL is currently focused on, Charak Samhita talks about the use of logic in medicine, similar to that in any other field. And you talk of Shashruta Samhita, that is another sage who had been involved in the surgery of human beings, Shashruta. You would see that he talks about the importance of interdisciplinary research. In fact, he says that a physician is well trained in that particular art, that is medicine, only when he gets to know the aspects of plants as well. So in this particular case, the way a person graduates in medicine in the olden days is that the guru sends the Shishya to the forest to identify a certain set of plants and then come back, and once the student, picks up the right answers, he or she would be given, be allowed to practice the profession. So that is how even doctors had been developed in the past who are Ayurveda Vaidyas. So when you talk of the traditional systems of medicine continuing with it, you have huge number of books. Of course, the classical text, that is the Charak Samhita, Shishya Samhita, Ashtanga Hridaya, are referred as the main materials in terms of Ayurveda. But then if you look at the Indian systems of medicine, you have Ayurveda, you have Siddha from the south, you have Unani, which is practiced across the country, and then you have Sovarikpa, which is also called the Tibetan system of medicine and practiced largely in the northern Himalayan regions of our country, say in Arunachal Pradesh, Leh Ladakh region, and many others, Sikkim also. And of course, yoga, which is also extremely important in terms of maintaining the vigor, especially when you are talking of, a combination of Ayurveda and yoga, Siddha and yoga, and so on and so forth. In addition to all of this, you also have what is called the folk medicine or the local health traditions. Just looking at the classical systems of medicine, that is the Ayush, that is Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, Sovarikpa, and also yoga. If you look at the TKDL website, you will see a huge number of books that we have listed. So all this contains lots of information related to our Indian systems of medicine. Say, for example, if I talk of Charak Samhita, it has a very logical way in which the information has been captured. It is believed to have been developed by Punarasu Atreya Rishi around 1000 BC. Later on, Charaka developed it and Dridwala had put everything together. It talks about the key principles of the system of medicine, right from the disease and symptoms to the causes of the disease, the pathology of it, the pathophysiology of it, and how to treat a particular disease. So if you look at Charak Samhita and look at the sections, the reason why I'm bringing this to your attention is to say that, when we talk of even the Indian systems of medicine, perhaps it might lack the scientific rigor that we know of today. But if you look at the information that has been captured, it is very logical in its nature. You look at the sections here, Sutrasthana, that is the fundamental principles of Ayurveda. Then you talk about the Nidhanasthana, that is the diagnostic principles, followed by Vimanasthana, Sharirasthana, Indriyasthana, Chikitsasthana, Kalpasthana, and then comes the Siddhisthana. So everything has a logical connect to each of the element that we talk of when we are looking at a particular disease. As I mentioned, right from understanding the principles to the diagnosis to the treatment and what needs to be done and when is all very nicely put together in this one. So just to kind of give you one particular example of an Ayurvedic formulation with varied applications, you take what is called the Triphala, three fruits. It is the Amla, Devitaki, and Haritaki. Depending on the carrier element of that is used along with this formulation, it can treat a different disease. Say, for example, if you use Triphala with sugar, it can treat acid peptic disease. If you take Triphala with honey, it is used for kapha diseases. If you take Triphala with oil, it is used for non-healing ulcers. It can be used as a face pack for promoting complexion. When Triphala is used with ghee and honey, it is used for eyesight promoter. So all this kind of information cannot be just thought of and then expressed without any kind of observational or experimental skills. So everything has been noted by our sages and only then given with information saying that if you use this particular formulation with this particular carrier, it will treat this kind of a disease. Similarly, even if you take a single herb based formulation, that is Godichitinus for a cordiferia, again, depending on the carrier, that is Ghrita, it will treat the Vata Vikaras. If you are taking it with sugar, it is to treat Pitta Vikaras. If you take it with honey, it is to treat Kapha Vikaras, and so on and so forth. So it kind of tells you the expanse by which medicines had been developed to treat disorders, human ailments. Similarly, if you take any one particular disease, I have taken the example of vitiligo. Vitiligo is a skin disorder where there is discoloration of the skin by the loss of melanocytes. It leads to a lot of social stigma as well. So if you look at Ayurveda, if you look at Unani, you look at Siddha, you look at even the local health traditions, there are so many treatments available within this particular for this particular disease. It tells you there's been a lot of work that has gone in recording which particular diseases can be treated with particular formulation and so on and so forth. Similarly, there are a lot of information that has been captured within this systems of medicine as well as other books on the human hygiene as well, and also in terms of beauty. To take a particular example of Ashtanga, it talks about a treatment for pimples. It talks about premature graying of hair and what needs to be done for treating premature graying of hair. It also talks about formulations for hair growth promotion and so on and so forth. So this can't be just rudimentary. There must have been a lot of work that had gone in the background to collect all this information and then put the samhitas together. Similarly, when you talk of, continuing with the cosmetics and, the FMCG project, if you look at this Varaha Mira's Brihat Samhita, of course, I have picked up the English translations. One can look at the original text as well. Here you talk of traditional perfumery, that is Gandhayukti and the Gandharnava. So here they talk about, 9 different ingredients, and that is Haritaka, Shankha, Dhanarasa, Valaka, Jaggery, Salya, and mustard seeds, and they talk about mixing each of the ingredient. So by doing this different combinations of, using this particular 9 ingredients, you are able to come up to 3.62 lakh different permutations and combinations of perfumes that can be developed. Similarly, there's another shloka in this Varahamira's Brihat Samhita that talks about again 16 substances. So they have mentioned this particular grouping of the different ingredients, and they say that any 4 can be mixed in a proportion of 1, 2, 3, and 4 parts. And when you come up to this particular permutations and combinations by mixing these different ingredients, that is the 16 ingredients that I was mentioned here, you are able to come up to a number of 1.74 lakh fermentations and combinations of perfumes that will be developed. In fact, there is a company in Pune that is working on developing perfumes based on this information that has been captured in the Varahamira's Brihat Samhita. So talking about, different other subject areas, I move on to agricultural practices, like how I had shown previously in terms of medicine. Even for agriculture, there are texts that are available. They talk of Krishi Parashara, Kautiri Artha Shastra, Brihat Samhita that I just mentioned. In addition to that, you have focused text that is called Kashyapa, Krishi Shukti, Sirapala's Vriksha Ayurveda, the Lokopakara, and so on and so forth. Even Chakrapani Mishra's Vishwavallabha. In addition to that, in later times, you have Darashiko's Nushkhadar, Fani Falahat, and many other texts that talk about the agriculture. In fact, Parashara says that, as long as, the farmers are happy, healthy, and wealthy, the rest of the society also happens to be in terms. Excuse me, can you please turn off the mic? Excuse me, can you please turn off the mic?
ఏంటి అలా తెచ్చేస్తాం అది
Yes, ma'am. I have done.
Ma'am, you please unmute yourself. You are
Please
also on
unmute.
mute.
So when you talk about agriculture, you should realize that there's a lot of oral traditional knowledge that is as local agricultural practices that are done by the farmers. So the Indian Council of Agricultural Research, that is ICR, had done an inventorization of all these indigenous technical knowledge practices related to agriculture and had brought out 7 different volumes of text that relate to these local practices. In fact, they had also validated several of these practices scientifically. In fact, out of the 38 that they had validated, 23 were cross-sectoral and 15 were single center experiments, and several of them we found to be as relevant as the conventional practices that are used by the modern science and technology. In fact, when you look at the traditional agriculture, like how I had talked of the different sutrasanas and different sections in traditional medicine, you would also find similar kind of information that has been captured under different sections in traditional agriculture also. In fact, at the TKDL, where we have started to digitize information related to our Indian traditional agriculture, we have seen there's a lot of information related to crop husbandry, animal husbandry, and fisheries as well. And the kind of information right from the horticultural wonders to astrology to crops and varieties, rainfall, what are the different soil types and preparations, what kind of seasons and lands would be, are being mentioned by the earlier methods. It talks about water resource management. It also talks about cattle management. And of course, diseases and treatments are a very important aspect of agriculture. So this is the kind of information that has been captured in our text, and it is very wide. And truly, the expanse can be appreciated when one goes through this entire information. I'd like to give you one particular example from the traditional practices from the agriculture. It is called the Kunab Chala. Kunab Chala is also known as, dirty water kind of, and it is, referred to even by, several others as the world's oldest fermented liquid organic manure. It is mentioned in Krishi Parashara. It is also mentioned in Krishi Ayurveda. In fact, there is a foundation called the Asian Agri-History Foundation that has captured a lot of information related to this Kunab Chala. So earlier in the older texts that I mentioned, Krishi Ayurveda, Krishi Parashara, Kunab Chala is made by all the waste that is available in the farmer's house. So it is made from animal bones, marrow, blood, fish, sesame cakes, germinated food beans, and so on and so forth. And this is all fermented together and used as a organic manure. Later on, the Asian Agri History Foundation and the GP Pant University at Pantnagar, they developed what is called the herbal Kunab Chala. And instead of all their animal waste, they use weeds that are available. So these weeds contribute to the fungicidal and insecticidal properties of this particular formulation as well. And using this herbal Kunab Chala, what the GP Pant University has been able to showcase along with Asian Agri Foundation is that this particular Kunab Chala helps in the productivity increase of almost 20 to 30%, and they tried it across different crops. It could be vegetables, it could be fruits, it could be field crops, it could be even tea. So with this, experimentation that has been done by the modern science, they have been able to show that herbal Kunab Chala is still a valid manure even today. In fact, if you look at all the reviews that are being made available on this Kunab Chala, as I mentioned, the filthy liquid or the fermented fill, there are different kind of Kunab Chala that has been mentioned. There's one by Vrikshayurveda, by Surapala, one in Lokopakara, then Sarankadhara Paddhati again talks about different Kunab Chala. Vishwavallabha talks about a different variation within the Kunab Chala. As you would appreciate, as I mentioned, Kunab Chala has been developed based on the waste that is generated by the farmer's family, and it is used after fermentation in the fields of the same farmer. So there is what is called in safari, Kunab Chala made out of the safari fish in cow urine. Then you have the Moshika Kunapa, again based on the rats, fermented in the cow urine. Kukuta Kunapa that uses chicken flesh. Sarangadhara Kunab Chala uses lot of animal waste. That includes those days deer, pig, sheep, goat, rhinoceros, etc., etc. Then you have the Shashagabhya Kunab Chala, which is based on cow dung, cow urine, wheat, and plants. In fact, the lower part of my slide talks about the modern validation that has been done with these different Kunab Chala, and they have seen that the Kunab Chala that has been mentioned, be it the variations in the formulation, they have all been found to increase the productivity of the plants. So it is still a valid organic manure even today. In fact, even when you go and look at these ancient agricultural practices, be it Vrikshayurveda or Vara, Miras, Brihat Samhita, There's very important information that has been mentioned. I have just picked up a few that attracted my mind. If in case you look at this Vriksha Ayurveda shloka that I have mentioned in the left of my slide, it talks about a formulation that is used for improving seed germination. People from the plant sciences would appreciate that there are, seeds with very hard pericarp, be it tamarind or many others. So to germinate such seeds is very, very difficult. And you have a particular method that has been mentioned in our ancient texts as to how we can improve such seeds with hard pericarp. So here what they do is they treat the particular seed with Triphala. As I mentioned, Triphala earlier, I mentioned for a human ailment. So Triphala here is used along with sesame, barley, and black gram, and then it is soaked in turmeric powder. And based on that, they are able to break the hard pericarp and help the seed to germinate. Similarly, if you look at the right side of my slide, here is a particular method that talks about the grafting. So for people like me who have come from the modern science background, I would have thought that grafting is more of a modern method. But if you look at this Varahamira's Brihat Samhita, it talks about trees that had been taken, exported to other countries by this grafting method. So here what they do is that they smear from the root to the stem with ghee and propofol, sesame, honey, vinegar, milk and powder. And once they are treated, this particular this particular part of the plant can be then transported for grafting elsewhere. So this is how, biodiversity expanded beyond a particular region as well. When we talk of agriculture, I did mention to you that local practices also become very important. And here is an example from veterinary science or animal husbandry. Typically, when you look at the cattle's foot and mouth disease is very, very common, and it is very hard to treat also because the cattle, quickly get infected with this foot and mouth disease. So a particular example that I have picked up is from the Navpada district of Orissa. Here, what they do is that the farmers use a mixture of harida and behda powder, and they treat it with, mix it with water, and after boiling it, they start giving it to the cattle. They apply it on the cattle. And this particular method has been scientifically validated by the Department of Veterinary Medicine, West Bengal University of Animal and Fisheries Sciences, along with the KVK of Kalahandi, Bhavanipatna, Orissa. So what they did is that they have taken 5 different sets of cows. So in the first arm, they had an untreated control. You can look into the scientific, validation that has been done. The second group contained 12 cows, and they were the ones which had been treated by this particular method from the Navpada farmers of Orissa. So the third group contained cows that were treated with the root barks of the Kerala tree. This is again a local practice. The fourth group contained 10 cows, which were treated with neem oil. Neem oil is also used typically for the foot and mouth disease. And the fifth one had the conventional therapy, that is the Baxivate. And by doing this experiment, what they had seen is that the method used by the Navpada farmers was as effective as that of the conventional therapy Baxivate. The only difference here was that by using the ITK method, it took a little longer, 5 to 6 days, whereas when you use a conventional Baxivate, the foot and mouth disease was treated in 4 to 5 days. But if you look at the cost effectiveness, one would say that ITK is as effective as the conventional therapy. Similarly, another local practice by the farmers is to enhance the productivity of fish. Today, we are talking of integrated farming, wherein, fisheries and as well as crop husbandry and husbandry, they all come together. Here is an example for increasing the productivity of fish. What they use is that, you see in many of the coastal regions, the banana trees are grown in large numbers. So again, here is an example from Orissa. So what they do is that they take this banana pseudostem and then they cut it into longitudinal pieces and put it into the water. And they have found that, this is rich in minerals like zinc, copper, calcium, iron, magnesium, manganese, and many others. And it increases the pH, hardness, and alkalinity of the pond waters. by doing that, they are able to enhance the oxygenation within the water, and this allows for higher production of the fishes in the pond. So this they had again done a controlled study, and they found that this is a low cost solution with locally available resources. So this is to kind of say that be it the one that is already mentioned in the text, or be it the local practices, there is validity and there is still a relevance of our knowledge systems even today. So when we talk of agriculture, again, water conservation becomes very, very important. And here we see that there are huge number of water conservation methods. I would also, because these slides would be provided to you. Yes, please.
Compensation fees with over this 5.9 crores.
Sorry, ma'am.
No, okay, all right, no issues.
I am managing.
Okay, no issues. So you would see the slides would be all given to all of you after the session. It will be in the Google Drive. And I have mentioned the references of all the information that I'm sharing with you. So whoever is interested can go refer to this article and all additional articles also to kind of understand and appreciate how vast our traditional knowledge systems have been and how relevant they are even to today's context and will shall be so for the future as well. So here, just to give you an example, the different conservation methods depended on, the kind of rainfall that had occurred in that particular regions, maybe even flood waters, and what are the local structures that are available. And they also considered the climate and other soil and other conditions. So you look at the Trans-Himalayan, it would be different compared to the Western Himalayas and the Brahmaputra Valley, the Indo-Gangetic plains, and so on and so forth. I'll not go into the details, but to see that every region had a different way. Maybe there has been certain overlaps, but everything were, kind of customized to the needs, the local needs of the people. So you look at the Western Ghats, you had Surangam. You look at the Western coastal plains, you had the Virdas. Eastern Ghats, you had the Korambu. Shepherds are important even today. So you have different methods of water conservation, which is, I believe, today very, very important. So when we talk of water, agriculture, of course, they all lead to food and nutrition. And if you look at the texts that are available, including the local practices that are still being practiced by many families, you have huge lot of information. Like how I had appreciated the different sections of agriculture or even the system of medicine, the Charak Samhita. I would like to give you one particular example of Kshema Kutuhala. This is a text that is focused on dietetics or culinary art. So here the different chapters are mentioned as Utsavas. So there are 12 chapters in this Kshema Kutuhala book. They talks about, the first one talks about the Dravya Pakas, that is the liquid diet. It talks about the utensils for cooking, the qualities of the physician, and as well as cook, because much of these books had also meant food for the royal families. They talk of Ritucharya, they have talk about Dinacharya. They talk about how to prepare non-vegetarian food, meat food, cooking of fish. They also talk about the different types of vegetables. It talks about the different preparations from different flours. They talk about appetizers. They also talk about dairy products. In addition to Kshema Kutuhala, you had different other books like Pakadarpanam from by Maharaja Nala, Supashastra by Vangarasa, Bhojana Kutuhala by Raghunatha Ganeshana, Navahasta, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of information available even in terms of the traditional food and nutrition. So just to again give an example of Pakadarpanam, this is from I picked up from a Hindi commentary. It talks about, preparation of a particular dal. It is called the soup here. They call it a soup. And here, what is very interesting about this is that it not just talks about, the food preparation, but it also tells for how it can be enhanced in flavors by adding other ingredients and how it can also help the health factors of a particular person who is consuming this particular food. So similarly, along the same lines, I would also like to mention that when we talk of our traditional knowledge systems, one may not reflect only about, the ancient text. Even if you look at recent review articles that have been put together by, people who have been interested in this particular domain, you would find a lot of information. So the second article that is on the right side of the slide, it talks about the utensils in different eating formats. And it tells you that, how people had moved away from, stone ways to, clay ways and to metal ways and so on and so forth. And what is the importance or significance of eating in a particular format? Say, for example, if you eat in a plantain leaf, which is still being practiced in southern part of our country, it is more of a cordial eating format. But in addition to that, it is, it has health benefits. It stimulates the digestive fire. It is useful when you are very tired and gout. It improves upon your energy as well. Similarly, if you talk about this madar leaf, that is Calotropis gigantea leaf, it is, when you eat on it, it treats abdominal tumors, pain, poisoning, dyspnea, anemia, and so on and so forth. So I would urge you to look up articles not just related to the ancient text, but also any information that talks about our Indian knowledge systems. So now I will move ahead and talk a little different about not just food, agriculture, water, and medicine, but also about traditional metallurgy. So when we talk of traditional metallurgy, unlike the earlier subject matters that I had mentioned, you do not have any text that talks about the metallurgical practices of our country, because this is largely by the artisans. So you would have largely local practices, local artisans who are practicing this particular art.
Sorry, ma'am, I am finding those. It's
Please unmute yourself.
Yeah. So the example that I would like to give about our traditional metallurgy, as I mentioned, it is largely from the artisans of our country. So there is a wood steel. Today, wood steel is regarded as a high grade, ultra high carbon steel. And in earlier times, it was developed by the crucible processes in southern India, especially the Tamil Nadu, Andhra, and Karnataka region. So here it is prepared by, first porous iron, and then it is hammered while it is still hot. They add wooden chips to it to maintain that, carbon content in the iron. And then, it is reheated and re-melted and heated again, hammered again. So by this process, the steel that produced has a uniform composition of 1 to 1.6 carbon, and this particular wood steel has been used in making articles like the Damascus swords as well. And the Damascus sword is a very, very important article from our heritage, that this particular sword is known to cut wood or a human head with as much ease as it would cut a silk scarf. So the Damascus sword is, a very, very famous item that has been made out of the wood shade. So unlike in the earlier subject matters that I had mentioned, you do not have focused text on traditional metallurgy, but you have mentions of different practices to some extent, perhaps in, different Rasa Shastra books that are there in medicine. But in addition to that, you have right from Rig Veda to Mahabharata to I would request all of you to please, keep yourselves on mute, because it's disturbing the presentation over and again, and it's really, not allowing me to go with the flow. Am I on mute?
You are
Yes,
audible, ma'am.
All right. So another example from the country in the context of metallurgy are the metal alloys, especially the bronzes from Kerala. Again, this is only a particular example. The Aranmula metal mirror is a very fascinating mirror. It does not use glass. It is based on the metal, and it is made by the casting route. It has only tin, zinc, phosphorus, iron, nickel, and copper. Even today, people have not been able to replicate the Aranmula mirrors that are made by the artisans of Kerala. Many IITs have also tried it, but they have not been able to be as successful as the artisans from the particular place from Kerala. Then you also have, bronzes from the such as the Kadavallur eating bowl, the Swami Malay or the Mannar icons that are focused on, the lost wax process. And here, of course, typically they use the three metal alloys containing copper, brass, and lead, or the panchalohas, where you also use, in addition to the copper, brass, and lead, you use gold and silver as well. So, in fact, when you talk of brass from the country, the earliest evidence of brass from India contains 70% copper, 6% zinc, and 0.9% of iron. They have not been able to find this kind of an alloy from anywhere else in the world as well. So the skills of the artisans has been as important as, of scholars who had done a formal education and then turned to the Vedas, Upanishads, and so on and so forth. So when we talk of the Indian knowledge systems, one need to appreciate that, both the codified and the oral traditional knowledge are of great importance. In fact, in recent times, when we talk of the expanse, you need to appreciate that there has been a lot of work being done by several scholars in the country. Here are some examples from Professor A.K. Biswas, who was there with IIT Kanpur, and as well as Naveen Chandra from IIT Roorkee. And these are all the books that I have mentioned on this slide. They talk about the old metallurgical marvels from the country and what kind of either the work transcript that has been developed or the archaeometallurgy work that has been developed to prove the value that our traditional metallurgical practices hold. When we talk of all these traditions, some of the living traditions in addition to what we had presented as metallurgical marvels, includes architecture. So one example that I would like to present to you is the Thanjavur Britishwara temple. In fact, a lot of work has been done by the IGNCA, that is Indira Gandhi National Culture for Arts. And this particular work on the Britishwara temple goes into the depths of the architecture and as well as the marvels that is there in the temple. So it talks about the linga, it talks about the different sculptures that are there in the different parts of that particular Vimana. It also talks about the sculptures that are carved outside of the inner wall of the Vimana, and it also touches upon the Bharata's Natya Shastra. So here they had been 108 stone blocks that were carved with the different karanas from the dance, but the work had stopped after the 81st one. So there's a lot of information, and also, when you go for this multimedia DVD, you can understand each aspect of the temple architecture that has been captured by the IJNCA. When we talk of infrastructure and architecture, one needs to appreciate like how we had talked about the classical systems of medicine and the local health practices. Equal importance is to be given by even infrastructures such as the Tabor Mud Monastery. So this Tabor Mud Monastery is there in the Spiti Valley of Himachal Pradesh, and it is a 10th century mud building made out of cob. So this contains raw earth, water, and fibrous materials like this straw. It is still it's a living, I know, tradition that you find even today. This contains, in addition to the architecture that I mentioned, valuable collection of frescoes and tankas adorning the walls of this particular monastery. So here, this particular Tabaman monastery is also called the Ajanta of the Himalayas. Similarly, there are very humble structures such as the bungas. The bungas are typically found in the Gujarat region. So during the Bhuj earthquake in 2001, to rebuild society, you need something which was quick and which is sustainable. So the traditional bungas took its rebirth during this time. And these bungas are again, very simple structures made of mud bricks and has only tree branches inside. Certain of them also use metal or ring beams on the walls. And the government of India quickly built 2 bungas per family. This was replicated during the Bihar also, Bihar floods, when the Kosi floods, where about 1 lakh houses, the bunga houses were prepared. So this talks about, how traditions come back to addressing the needs of the people when there is a requirement. When we talk of the Indian knowledge systems, so far that I have covered is largely in terms of, more of scientific aspects, be it medicine, agriculture, metallurgy, and so on and so forth. But when we talk of our Indian traditional knowledge systems, the cultural expressions also have great importance. So here is an example of the different art forms that are there. And in fact, this particular article talks about the 52 incredible Indian folk art forms, but there is much more. So it talks about, different regions of our country, and how the cultural expressions happen to be an important aspect of our growth and development. In fact, if you look at it, not only in the past, even today, these cultural expressions are used to even convey societal matters, importance where people have greater recognition through the art form. So here is an example of Yakshagana from Karnataka. So this particular Yakshagana, program was used to as a folk theatre form to convey environmental consciousness. Similarly, is an example that I have picked up from Bharatanatyam on Yashodhara. It talks about the life of not only Lord Buddha, but what Yashodhara, his wife, had gone through. So it talks about the strength that women portray when they are in very challenging conditions. Music has always been having a very important place in Indians' life as a therapeutic tool as well. So there is an example, again, a scientific article that talks about, how music has been used as a therapy for different ailments and how it affects the human body. So the cultural expressions along with the scientific forms do have great importance. For all of this, if you had noticed, language is the primary source by which the knowledge has been transmitted, be it the codified form or be it the oral form. So here again, although there are only 22 recognized official languages in the country, there are different dialects and different languages also. And in this particular news article, Ganesh Devi mentions there are 600 potentially endangered languages in the country. In fact, the Ministry of Tribal Affairs has taken a lot of efforts to ensure that the endangered tribal languages are preserved and promoted. They have identified 82 language primers by the different, with the help of different state governments. So while we talk of the science and technology, the cultural expressions related to the art forms, the humanities, management and political strategies, in terms of governance and administration also become very, very important, because today we are having a whole, the entire country is looking at the national education policy and then talking about, the different aspects of our knowledge system. So here is an example from Arthashastra. In fact, you would know that Arthashastra, Kautilya, the Arthashastra had become famous because he talked about, how even a king had to behave. So it talks about maintaining the right balance for the welfare of the people while augmenting the resources of the state. And in fact, the first few translations by Professor Shama Shastri of Arthashastra were, sold higher in the other countries rather than in India. But of course, today we are also trying to have with equal prominence given to the Arthashastra. So like how I had mentioned, if you look at the text of Arthashastra, it has different chapters and every chapter is valuable in its own way. And here what is very important is it is about the different sciences that the Arthashastra talks about. Anvikshaki is the most important. Here it is about how it is about the science of inquiry, what happens, why it happens, and so on and so forth. And when you talk of Kautilya's Arthashastra, Anvikshaki is extremely important. It also talks about the triple Vedas, the Varti and the Dandaniti. That is the science of governance. And here, what is believed is that when you look at a book like Arthashastra, it is a mix of art and science that talks about governance, diplomacy, and also war. Similarly, in later years, we also had the Nyaya Sutras of Lord Gautama. And here also, like how I had also mentioned in the earlier slides about the education, it talks about the different 16 different categories of knowledge, right, from Pramana to Prameya to Samshaya to Prayojana, Siddhanta, Tarka, Nirnaya, and so on and so forth. So it talks about the logic that our ancestors used in addressing the needs of the time and to convey knowledge that had transmitted over generations. So one must be wondering, there's so much of expanse. We talked about science, we talked about food, we talked about nutrition, we talked about governance, we talked about the cultural expressions and so on and so forth. Is it relevant even today? Of course, we are governed by the government policies, be it the national education policy or the innovation policy. But, internally, do we believe that traditions and culture have an importance? And the answer is a resounding yes, because when we talk of within the Sustainable Development Goals, there are 17 of it. And if you look at every single of it, the traditions and culture have an important part, the aspect. And if you look at it, it is not just within our country, even worldwide, it has been recognized that traditions and culture have an important role in the growth and development of the country. Just to kind of give you a very quick examples of it, when you look at the goal number 1, which is to end poverty in all its form, the example that has been chosen in this particular case here is from Indonesia. All of you are aware of batik, which is there, this batik textile is available even in our country, but Indonesia is known for it. So what the government had done is that focus on contributing to the city of Batik, and thereby it is able to contribute to the women employment also. Almost 60% of the employees that are involved in this particular sector are women. Similarly, when you talk of goal number 2, which is about ending hunger and achieving food security, nutrition, and sustainable agriculture, there is an example of the Sattigeri research from Turkey that talks about the seed swap festival. So all the farmers come, they not only share their practices, they also share good seeds that can help in the conservation and sustainable food production and consumption. In fact, the seed swap festival is known even in several of our parts of our country, including Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, and so on and so forth. The goal number 3, I'd like to give you an example from our own country, the National Ayush Mission. Alongside of the conventional treatment, we are able to promote Ayush to help achieve in health and wellness as well, besides therapeutic benefits of the Ayush systems of medicine. Goal number 4 is about quality education and bringing in lifelong learning opportunities for everybody. The example that has been chosen is from the Jeonju district of South Korea. And here this is focused on the traditional culture city. So what happens is everybody, children and adults, are brought together in terms of educating them on the importance of this traditional culture city. So they talk about the traditional buildings, they talk about the intangible heritage and the cultural assets that are associated with this particular architecture. So that way they are able to not only pass on information about the traditional practices, but also bring in the value that these traditional practices hold. From again a few examples, which is in fact just a couple of days ago, we saw that I think, how can I forget her name? She was the first woman, she got into the FIDA women category. Okay. Anyways, never mind about that. So chess that originated in India is still being counted worldwide. You have the Federation, International Federation for Chess. And in fact, even under the Sustainable Development Goals, United Nations feels that, chess is a game that promotes fairness, inclusion, and mutual respect amongst everybody. So this is how it has been able to not only empower women and girls, but foster inclusion, tolerance, respect and understanding amongst everybody. So 20th of July is celebrated every year as the International Chess Day. So from humble beginnings, it has now become a game that everybody looks forward to understand who's winning and who's losing. An example from this traditional medicine comes from an oral story. It is a legend that this quinine originated from the Indian mountains of forests of Peru, and here it is about an oral story that a passerby who had fever drank water from a stagnant pool of water. He had fever, and he, after drinking the water, he felt restless, took rest close to the stream, and when he woke up, he realized that his fever had alleviated. He carried all this information to the rest of the people in his community, and they all realized that this has a magical portion to it, and they all started using this particular water whenever they had to treat fever. This was formally recognized as a treatment by the Chincona, by the Jesuit priest of Chincona. So, in fact, when the Countess of Chincona, that is the Viceroy of Peru, had malaria, this was given as a treatment by the Jesuit priest. But if you look at from the traditional oral legend to 1600s, where the Jesuit priest used this chinchona tree for treating malaria, until about 1820, quinine was never used as a proper system of, proper treatment for malaria. So only in the year 1820, quinine was extracted from the bark, and this was done by two French scientists. Later on, in 1944, the American scientists, they made synthetic quinine, and with synthetic quinine, we had fewer side effects compared to the natural extracts. But if you look at the story, any infection, any infectious disease will have resistance because of the microbes involved. And when malaria became resistant to the chloroquine, quinine and then chloroquine, China launched a project for the treatment of chloroquine-resistant malaria. So Tu Yu, who won the Nobel Prize for this artemisinin, started her career as a pharmacologist, and in fact, she was given the headship of this project that China launched towards treating chloroquine-resistant malaria because of her, education in traditional Chinese medicine. She visited the place where there was this chloroquine-resistant malaria. She looked at all the symptoms, everything came back. By the time they tested about 2.5 lakh compounds, but based on her understanding of the traditional Chinese medicine, she went through the text again and identified this particular plant called the Artemisia annova. So her initial experiments failed because, although she tried to isolate the, extract and then use it for treating malaria, it didn't help. But then, by using her ingenuity, understanding of the disease, she was able to prepare an extract which she tested on mice and monkeys. It was found to be safe. Then she and her colleagues tested it upon themselves, and they found that it is treating this chloroquine-resistant malaria. So from 1971 to the time that she won the Nobel Prize in 2015, there was a lot of slow development that happened, but finally she was able to give the gift from the Chinese traditional medicine to the world over in terms of treating malaria through artemisinin. Even if you look at the other parts of the world, you have different indigenous knowledge that is taking shape, taking prominence, taking value in terms of its relevance to today's context. One example that I would like to give you from Australia is that of the kakadu plum. So this kakadu plum has very high vitamin C content in it. In fact, it is one of the highest, more than that of amla. And the vitamin C is invaluable ingredient in any of the cosmetics. So what had happened is that company, American company called Mary Kay had filed an Australian patent on the use of this kakadu plant for skincare products. This was objected to, and of course, the patent application was rejected. But Mary Kay went on making the products, and then there was no benefits that was coming back to the knowledge holders or the community holders of this kakadu plant. So, what Australia had done based on this experience is that they established an alliance called the Northern Australian Aboriginal Kakadu Plum Alliance. And anybody who is to source kakadu plum from the country will have to go through this alliance, the consortium. And if you look at the slide that I have mentioned, this particular the framework had helped not only in ensuring that the rights of the people are respected in terms of the benefits that the knowledge holders deserve, but it also helped in expansion of the product portfolio. So this is the kind of expansion that you can see when science and technology works together towards empowering the traditional knowledge systems. Similarly, if you look at the food and nutrition, right from the prehistoric times to the Vedic period and to the Sutra periods and beyond, we have seen that the masura, the lentils, the black gram, and as well as the millets have held the high importance in our food and nutrition. So, in fact, if you look at the year 2023, the United Nations called that particular year as the International Year of Millets. So today in the country, we have a lot of Dhanya Varga Aharas, and Siridhanya becomes becomes very, very important. So in fact, again, one another example that we talk about is the turmeric, which is a very humble spice from the country. You'll get to know more about turmeric in our subsequent conversations during this particular workshop. But look at the product portfolio. It is so very diversified, right from cosmetics to food products to even cosmetic products. There is a huge, expansion of the product portfolio, with all the benefits reaching the cultivators of the spice plant. Even in terms of the cultural expressions, you look at Ramayana. In fact, I think the new movie is yet to be launched. You see different variations of Ramayana. It could be right from the manuscripts to paintings to books to films and the other different art forms. You see that the creativity, even in terms of the Ramayana, can take shape. And even in the context of, the intellectual property rights, depending on the creative factors that you bring in, you can have a copyright, you can have a trademark, you can have a design, and you can also go for geographical indications depending on what is the element that has been covered in this particular thing. And of course, for films and similar other products, contracts and agreements become very, very important. In fact, if you look at Amish Tripathi, from a banker to an author, he grew multifold based on his creative aspects related to our traditional knowledge. And in fact, if you look at the different texts, they are all copyrighted, the books that Amish Tripathi has brought out. I'd like to end with a particular example from the carpet weaving. Today, artificial intelligence is taking such high importance, and I would like to give a mention of this particular carpet weaving from Kashmir. So typically, this traditional method used what is called as thalim codes. So depending on the codes that have been given in the traditional text, the artisans come together and they weave sections of the particular carpet, and the different sections are brought together to make the whole carpet. By this traditional method, what happens is if there are small mistakes made by any of the artisans, it becomes very difficult to spot in time. And so at the end of it, the the entire carpet loses its value because of some mistake here and there, and it doesn't retain the shape that it is originally meant to. So what happened is a computer software was created to help create the Thalim codes. And by this, what happened was that, one could, see the entire design in one go. So if there are any small mistakes made by the artisans before the whole thing is brought together, it was easy to spot and correct it, or, remove the piece and redo the whole thing. today, the same set of artisans are trying to use artificial intelligence to improve upon their productivity. So one can bring traditional knowledge systems along with the modern science and technology to see how we can empower the knowledge holders, how we can take forward our traditional knowledge systems to where it actually deserves. So you have the national education policy, you have the national intellectual property rights policy, and of course the UGC has defined guidelines for inclusion of IKS in the curriculum, both UG and PG. And of course, ACTI has also brought in the minor degree in universal human values. You have a lot of support which you'll get to hear from Professor Murthy day after tomorrow on the opportunities that is available from the Indian Knowledge Systems Division of the Ministry of Education, be it the internships, the research proposals, or the IKS centers. We are also kind of facilitated by policies like the Bio E3 policy or the Ayurveda Ahar regulations that help us in protecting, preserving, and promoting our traditional knowledge systems. In fact, they say, na chora haryam, na cha raja haryam, na pratipajyam, na cha parakari. Vyaye krite vardate evam nityam vidyadanam sarvapudhana pradhanam. So the more we use our traditional knowledge, it will only increase in its value. And I look forward to all of you contributing to this growth of our traditional knowledge systems. So let me stop here.
Yes, ma'am. Bahu dhanyavadah. Thank you, ma'am, for in this such informative session. And it was a Manas Tirtha of TK. We are following how in pilgrimage, how we do go from temple to temple. So you were showing us from case to case. So it's a one for all. So we request all the participants, please take 10 minutes and complete the quick assessment. And then we'll come back to our question and answer sessions. Ma'am will be there. And recording and PPT both will be available. So please just complete the assessment. I'm sharing the link in the chat box. I think some of you will face problem. If you face any problem, please access your Google Drive folder, which you have received through mail. I have uploaded the same link in that Drive folder also. Okay, 1 second. Yes. See, I am pasting multiple times here, so you can easily get the link, and I have also uploaded in the Google Drive folder. Yes, done. Now it's 4:48. Please take, there are 5 MCQs. We hope it will take 4 to 5 minutes. So we'll end 4:58. Okay, first two. Sukriti, so if you don't see the link here, there is some technical problem with your email ID and MS Team. Please access the Google Drive, which you have received through mail. In the same mail where you received the joining link, please open the folder and take the assessment link. Copy and paste. if your link is not opening, please copy this link and open with Google Chrome or any other browser. Copy and paste.
Sir, I'm not able to find the link. Not in a
And
Google Drive as well as not.
can you see the chat? MS Team chat. Is it accessible by you? MS Team
No.
chat.
No, sir.
Okay, so open your Google Drive link.
Yes, sir. Is it acceptable?
Yes.
So where to get the link, sir? Google Drive means?
Yes. Google Drive, there is a Word doc is uploaded. In that doc, you will find the link. First,
He
Sir, in the
wants-
mail, sir, in the mail where you have sent.
yes, in the same mail, you will see at the end, there is a link, folder link. Okay. If you click on that, there are many files, but there is a assessment link file. If you go to that assessment link file, you will get the link. Astu?
So you have to copy and paste that in this thing.
Yes.
So it is not getting opened, sir.
Hello, sir. Good evening. Sir,
it-
Google link,
it-
the link which you have sent is not
It may be
visible, sir, in
problem
the
to
drive.
with.
Do we have
Sorry?
to go to the session 27th April session link assessment?
Yes, that's the final assessment, but this is a daily assessment. Everything is important. All will be added for your score and which will lead you to get a assessment certificate. Astu?
Sir, so please share it on this thing, no, sir. Here where we are chatting, sir. Where it is here, where we can see.
See, I have shared here again. Astu?
Okay. So, sir, that Preeti Tiwari, that, sir.
Sorry?
One Preeti Tiwari has shared one link, but it is not getting opened.
No,
On the
I am sharing right now in the chat box.
Sir, I have done. May I leave now?
You may
Paste
leave, but if
link
you
in
have any
Google window.
question or if you want to take part in the question and answer session, please wait. After 2-3 minutes, we'll start our question and answer session. Astu? Or is there
Okay, sir.
in chat box? It is in the chat box. Or check your mail. In the mail, there is also Google Drive link.
Sir, there is
Please
confusion.
unmute yourself.
So where exactly is
Narendraji
it?
Kumarji, please unmute yourself. There is a noise.
It is under the workshop
Background
material.
noise.
Check workshop material.
So where
tiny
exactly
URL
is it in the mail?
Mail may it is in the tiny workshop material, tiny URL link. Workshop material. At the end, scroll down and you'll find
Yeah.
workshop material. PPTs and recordings will
The
be
PPTs
available.
and recordings will be available
Yes,
at.
please click that mail. Click that link and you'll be redirected to a Google Drive. Assessment links. Open that.
Okay.
And there you will find the link to this assessment.
It was look like a Google form.
Yes, it is a Google form.
Okay.
Lakshmikant sir, could you find it?
Yeah. I've just clicked on it, but it's not opened yet.
So there's a document second. It's a Google Doc.
Yeah,
And then-
yeah.
Yes. And then you'll find a link there.
Yeah. It's a Google form.
Yeah.
Lakshmikantji, please could you mute yourself and do your assessment. Astu,
Okay,
then
sir.
we'll go
Okay.
to our question and answer session. Ma'am, Sattigeri ma'am.
Hello, sir. Sir, I have submitted.
I'm
Yes.
here. We can wait for another 5 minutes, Piyush,
Okay.
and then, yeah.
Astu ma'am.
The link is not opening, sir.
Please copy the
Sir, I have-
link and paste in Google Chrome or Mozilla Firefox, MS Team, whatever. In your
Sir, I have submitted
device.
my question form.
You have
Excuse me,
submitted?
sir.
Okay.
I have submitted.
Uttamam.
Sir, can I suggest something? For those whom the link is not opening, they have to check their Google Drive space. If the Google Drive is full, they will not be able to access the paper.
Thank you.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. PG sir. Hello, sir.
Hello. Yes, please.
I have submitted. Can I leave?
Yes, you may leave if you don't have any questions or if you may leave.
Yeah,
you
it
don't have any questions.
was excellent. It was excellent topic given by the madam. Yes, thank you, madam. Thank you so much for madam. I am speaking, Professor Uday Kumar from Nagarjuna University, Department of Buddhist Study. It was very excellent. I really enjoyed it. It was very exciting. Thank you so much, madam.
And coming out.
So can I leave, sir? Piyush sir?
Yes, sure. Pranam.
Thank you so
Meghaji,
much.
please unmute yourself. Meghaji, there is a background noise. There is a question regarding PPT and recording. PPT and recording both will be uploaded in the same Google Drive. Astu, I will update time to time after the session, recording and PPT.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Astu.
May I ask you something?
Please give me another 2 minutes, then ma'am will start the question and answer
Okay.
session. Please give me 2 minutes.
క్వశ్చన్ ఆన్సర్ స్టార్ట్ చేస్తారా?
అది ఒక 30 minutes ఉంటుంది దానికి
Could we get the correct answer, please?
Sir. So I am addressing on this. I have opened that URL, but it is asking
Yes.
for email account, sir.
You can put your email ID.
Then it is asking for
sign.
password.
Generally, it does not ask, but you can copy and paste in another browser. If you are using Chrome, please check with another browser. Sometimes it creates problem.
Sir, I have submitted the form, sir.
Thank you.
Shall I wait for some more time?
Yes. Please
Okay,
wait.
please. Thank
Ma'am
you.
is here.
Thank you.
Next time, if possible, then share in a group or something so that I have got this form by someone else, not by myself.
Sorry, sir.
Sir, this Google form link was getting this Google form link was very much difficult. I have taken some other person help, then I got it, and many person are facing problem in this. Please arrange Google form link. Either you can send in a group or by separate mail so that we can get it. And because you are taking test in just in 10-minute duration, so we should get a link in that time now.
Yes.
Okay,
we
thank
will
you.
think about that. We'll solve these
Please,
issues.
otherwise,
next
will
time we can use some other instrument to handle this assessment. Astu.
So mine is not.
how we can if I have submitted successfully, then can I put?
Yes. If you have submitted, you may do.
Piyush sir, it's only one link which we have to work, right?
Day one.
Only one, right? For the assessment
Yes.
only.
I think let us start and we'll close in the next.
Yes, slowly, ma'am. Please,
Yes.
slowly you can start.
Yeah, I just want to clarify. And the final assessment will be distinct. It will be on the 6th day, that is next Monday. Okay, we are just making sure that you are attentive to the session that happens, and that's the reason you are going to have this assessment every day. So I would request you all to, please pay attention. The one way of handling this is that, if too many people do not put messages like thank you and appreciate your comments in the chat box, you will be able to see the message of Dr. Piyush in the chat box easily. But I do understand there are a lot of people who are responding in the chat box, so it might have been lost in this. Maybe I think Piyush, time and again, you and Anil can keep sharing the link, more frequently from tomorrow onwards so that people are able to
Yes.
access that link and then they are able to respond to it. And as Piyush also mentioned, if in case one of the browser doesn't work, one way is to remove the cache beforehand and then, use the link that is given. Otherwise, use a different browser and then try it out. We are here to help you, and this entire workshop is done for the benefit of all of us. So we would be, as patient as possible in towards ensuring that you do not have any problems. But I think there should be some, kind of actions from your end also. We would appreciate equal support from you as well. So I think we'll stop here with the instructions and general guidelines. I will take up any questions that you may have. Ankitesh Tiwari, if you would like to mention that, raise your question. You can unmute yourself and raise your question.
Thank you, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Ma'am, thank you for this insightful session. Ma'am, one of the slides mentions heating the iron up to like 1200 degrees Celsius for a long 14 to 24-hour cycle. So without modern sensors, how did ancient metallurgists maintain such a high and consistent temperature for that long?
It is more of, a retrospective understanding that we have that it could have gone to that kind of high temperatures based on the experiments that you have done. Much of this work in recent times have been largely based on the archaeometallurgical work that has been done by the modern day scientists, right? So while doing those experiments, they have captured these kind of things. In fact, they have tried to replicate that inverse distillation of zinc and many other things, and that is how we get to know. But those days we did not have the thermometers of what we call today's measurements. So it is more of an approximation to what we believe could have happened those days.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Shragi Mishra, you can unmute yourself and ask your question, please.
Good evening, ma'am. First of all, thank you for such a wonderful lecture. Ma'am, I just have one question. That is there any text, ancient Indian text, which deals with the mental health concept or related concept in ancient Indian literature?
It has, in fact, if you look at many of the Indian systems of medicine, that is Charak Samhita, Shasha Samhita, Ashtang Hridaya, many other variations of the systems of medicine, you will find a lot of information related to mental health. Similar is the case with many of the yoga texts as well. When we talk of the systems of Indian systems of medicine, we are talking at holistic wellness, right? So you will find a lot of information related to that. Are you from the Ayush stream of medicine?
Ma'am, actually, I'm doing PhD, actually working on a mental health in ancient India. So that's why I wanted to ask, like, is there any concept, we find in ancient literature text? Ma'am, do we find such concept in Vedas also, or Charak Samhita and later, later literature only?
See, if you are focused largely from the system of medicine towards health and wellness, I would suggest that you take on board any of the Ayurveda or Ayush doctor. He or she will be able to help you in doing the research that you are. They will be able to guide you better. If in case you're looking at the Vedas and Puranas and all that, it touches upon briefly, but not to the extent that the Indian systems of medicine. See, these are all subjects that are focused at particular ailments, right? You will have greater granularity of information in that. Similarly, even if you look at many of the Jainism or Buddhist texts also, you would find a lot of information related to mental peace, because when you look at most of the Vedas or even the sutras from Buddhism and all that, they target more of, the greater understanding of the cosmos and related how we can elevate ourselves to just from a material minded person to something, that we can understand life largely about. So these are the kind of shit, but you will need an expert to guide you. So if in case you are focused on the systems of medicine from a granular point of view, please take on board, you please connect with an Ayurveda doctor or a Siddha doctor, and then, help them to guide you better.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome. Preeti Tiwari?
Ma'am, can I ask?
Yes, please.
I just wanted to, because if you see each field of IKS is too vast. If you take Ayurveda, if you take architecture, if you take the culture, how to, because suppose if I want to float a 30-hour certificate course for the students, where I would like to bring everything. Within this 30-hour certificate course, it's very difficult to tell everything to the students. Can you highlight on that? How I should go about?
Piyush, do you want to answer this one based on what IKS is doing?
Yes, yes, ma'am. Ma'am, see, it's vast area. We agree. But when we take something from a specific thematic area, for example, if we want to take Biradishwara temple and its architecture under the umbrella of IKS. Likewise, we want to make in-depth study for a particular subject. So if you want to make any curriculum, you can take small text, but do an in-depth study that should be implemented with our framework, Drishti, Parampara, and Lokika Prayojanam. How a particular knowledge can be utilized for modern era. So you can take one piece of subject of that particular domain, but do in-depth study. Is it clear?
Dr.
Good
Preeti,
evening.
one another response that I would like to add to what Dr. Piyush has mentioned is, at what level are you looking for creating this 30-hour certificate course? Because it depends on the the level of the students who's going to undertake these studies. Say, for example, if in case it is at the UG level, you may want to again segregate depending on science, humanities, social studies, and so on and so forth. So unless the student would be interested in the subject matter and is aligned to the student's main degree course, it would be very difficult for you to just give a very overall information on all the IKS subject matters.
Good evening, ma'am. My name is Preeti Tiwari. I wanted to ask you something. Like you talked about that foreigners have patented haldi and other things which belong to us. But ma'am, I want to ask you one thing. Like the Indian things have gone so much into our lives that we don't even recognize that they can be patented. And where can we find what is patented and what is not patented, and so that we can come up like simple say things. तुलसी अदरक जो हम अपनी चाय में भी इन्वॉल्व कर रहे हैं, वो भी मेडिसिन हैं जो कोविड के टाइम पे बहुत ज्यादा काम आई हैं, लोगों ने यूज करी है. And so we don't know what is patented, what is not patented. Can you tell where we can find that thing and what is the process अगर कुछ ऐसा है तो?
Yeah, you will get to hear more about it in tomorrow's lecture on general IPR. My colleague Shri Anil Kumar will talk about it. And also on the fourth day, where we are going to talk about traditional knowledge and intellectual property rights. Typically, just to give you the background, what is patented, patentable is something which is novel, which meets the criteria of inventive step. That is something which has a technical or an economic advance over what is already known. And the third one is the application or industrial applicability. Okay, if it meets this criteria, then it is a patentable subject matter. So for the first step, what is it? It should be novel. So if in case it is already known in traditional knowledge that this particular, be it amla or be it ginger or be it turmeric is known for this particular disease, then it is not patentable subject matter. You'll get to know more about it in the days to come.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Good evening,
Dr.
madam. Good evening. Your
Yeah, we are
lecture
going
is
by the
your session is very nice, and it will be useful to the Indian people in general, and in particular to the researchers also. One thing I want to ask you about the Ayurvedic system is better for Indian scenario. Okay, but the Indian government is not means it is not promoting or not promoting. I don't know, but we are using medicines, allopathic medicines. What is the reason why we are not using the Ayurvedic medicine in the more than the allopathic medicine? Please, can you clarify that information, madam?
If you look at it, if you look at the healthcare infrastructure that we have in the country, I think largely we have only hospitals that talk about the modern medicine, not of Ayurveda and all that. But in recent times, you have Ayush wellness centers everywhere. Ayush has been spreading itself across the country, be it Ayurveda, be it Siddha, Unani, Sovarikpa, and even the local health practices are being a lot of importance. In fact, during the COVID times, we could see that everybody, including we ourselves at home, we had all the kadas and things like that. So I think things are changing, and we are trying to rely more on holistic systems of medicine rather than going for any particular conventional treatment. But having said that, I would also like to caution, depending on the urgency, the medical urgency of the matter, one has to take a decision. Just because it is our heritage, we cannot let health go take a step back. We need to make sure that the healthcare needs of the concerned person are taken on priority. And here there should be no difference whether it is Ayush or traditional medicine or modern medicine. The healthcare needs should take priority over everything else.
Good evening, ma'am. I'm Dr.
Madam.
Mary Chaudhary. Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
May I, ma'am?
please. Yes, please. Yeah, Dr.
Good evening,
Sapna,
ma'am.
please.
Yes, ma'am. First of all, thank you so much, ma'am, for such a nice session. And you have included lot of literatures here and currently which are the available materials. Ma'am, I just want to know about, is there any digital library which is freely accessible for us in which we can get the literatures? I'm working on some IKS project which is related with the measuring systems, measuring units which are generally used in marketplaces. So I just want to know about the digital library.
Yeah, so here I would only like to mention that, if you look for only measuring instruments, you may find it very difficult to find the article. No, I'm
Yes,
just
yes.
telling you. So you will have to know the subject matter. Say, for example, if you're looking at measuring instruments and you're looking at, say, a text of Ayurveda or Siddha, you will get that kind of information at the end of the text because they do measure, tell you about, what kind of measures that are being used. Okay. And especially in modern texts where they have also connected it with modern metric measurements as well. Okay, so that is how it is. Even in fact, if you look at recent articles from metrology, okay, they have covered the ancient measurements, be it length, distance, or even weight and volume and all that, to the modern metric measurements as well. So you will have to do a wholesome literature search to arrive at that. In terms of digital libraries where you have access to the books and all that, you do have the IIT Kharagpur library where you can access text. The other one is the internetarchive.org. Certain of the texts are made available freely, especially from our Indian libraries and few foreign libraries as well. Depending on the text, you may be able to download the particular book or you can read it online. So these are certain things. In addition to that, whatever are the books that we have covered in the TKDL, we have mentioned the bibliography. The full text is not available for because of copyright reasons. But if in case you are in Delhi and you would like to visit TKDL to just access a particular book, you're most welcome to do so.
Yeah, I'm from Indore, ma'am. So I
Ma'am?
just want to know about the digital library.
Yeah, so
Thank
these
you so much.
internetarchive.org and the IIT Kharagpur library, they are made available, including the India Culture Portal, ICP. If you look at that, certain of the books are made available. Similarly, Rare Book Society of India, IGNCA, they have made available certain texts freely available. So you can have a look at those as well.
Ma'am, good evening. And Dr.
Ma'am, good
Sapna,
evening.
you may look into a website which IKS division has developed, that is Bharatiya Jnana Sarita. There you will find your domain, all books. There are 2,427 books has been published and articles is 1,708. So you can look into that. And there are 16 windows as per our thematic areas. So you can go into that and explore whatever you want. Bharatiya Jnana
Pardon the
Sarita.
name once again, sir. Pardon the name once again.
You can add the
Bharatiya-
link in the chat box.
Yes,
Sir.
yes.
Please share me the link.
Bharatiya Jnana Sarita. I am sharing the
Okay,
link here.
Bharatiya Jnana Sarita. Okay, okay. So thank you.
Okay, please look into that.
Ma'am, good evening. Yes, please. Can we go
Dr.
by the
Tibolina
order,
Gupta.
please? Because there are a lot of people who have already raised their hands. So we'd like to go by the order. There is one Alvin. Can I take her or his question?
Okay, I'm Dr. Tibolina Devnath from Department
Dr. Devalina, just wait a minute. We will take Dr. Alvin first and then we'll take you.
Hello, ma'am. I'm Alvin. So I'm a faculty for computer science and I'm doing my PhD in computational linguistics. So my language, my question is language specific. So you had mentioned that there are endangered languages, and the work is done on official languages. So in India, there are 453 languages according to Wikipedia, and out of which 197 languages are endangered languages. But if we see that the work which is done is only done on 22 languages. So is there any funds given or provided for the promotion and revival of these languages? And is there any institute which is working specific on these languages? It can be one or multiple. And there are a lot of languages in the northeastern part where they are only in spoken form. They have no orthography associated with them. So, is there any work on which people are working for converting the spoken language into orthography also?
Yeah, I just would like to convey to you, Alvin, is the Department of Science and Technology. I think even IKS also funding research projects in terms of even developing scripts for these oral languages. As I had mentioned, Ministry of Tribal Affairs has been funding work related to these primers, especially the tribal languages. Northeast is full of only tribal languages. So you can look at these kind of the websites where they are calling for proposals and then apply for that. I know particularly for, a language from Arunachal Pradesh that did not have a script, they are trying to develop script for that particular language under the support of Department of Science and Technology. So you will have to look up multiple sources and see what fits your requirement and apply for a proposal there.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you.
I
Dr.
want to
Depalina?
add, ma'am.
Yeah, Piyush. Yes, please. Yes, please.
Here I want to add, Ministry of Education has another division, that is Bharatiya Bhasha Samiti. They are promoting with different projects. You can look into their website. I'm sharing in the chat box. Bharatiya Bhasha Samiti. Sometimes we work together in collaboration. You can look into their website. Astu.
Dr. Debalina?
Yes, yes, ma'am. Good evening. I'm from Kolani University, Department of Folklore, and we work on Indian knowledge system. Actually, you have covered all the domains related to IKS, but one thing, tribal communities and folk communities of different regions, carry the legacy of Indian knowledge. Through their fishing process, through their agriculture, through their honey making, extraction of juice from palm tree, and all the, so on and so forth. One thing, they are not actually aware of their expertise. So how can some of the components are getting GIS tag, but how can they get a patent?
They will not be able to get a patent for known subject matter. As per the Indian Patent Act, no traditional knowledge can be patented. You will get to know more about it tomorrow briefly, but on the fourth day, have patience, you will get to know more about, traditional knowledge and the intellectual property rights. And on the fifth day, we'll be talking specifically on the ethics related to that. So you will be covering a whole lot of, new aspects that you might not have heard before. Dr. Partha Sathi Sarkar.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. After the long time with you, and we all have learned a lot of things from you, because if we are forgetting ourselves, then there is nothing. And knowledge is just to realize ourselves. So it is a basic understanding from your kind lecture to all of us. So, ma'am, I am from the Tripura University, Tripura Central University, and I am pursuing my doctoral in the stream of rural studies. So here, ma'am, I just like to see the island agriculture, like the Andaman Nicobar Island, the Vitarkanika or the Sundarban. So there are a lot of different kind of agricultural activities. And from the very first long, it is just practiced. So if we are just trying to understand about the ethnobotanical perspective, and basically it is from the library science. So how can we just the figure out or make a framework to understand how we are just getting to see there in these modern days, and how we can connect the modern days understanding, because the farmers always will not have the agricultural extension workers or allied persons or the scientists with them, but they still have some kind of basic knowledges and which they are practicing. But still, when we are just trying to understand from our IKS, then there should be some more. So how can we interrogate and just that make an holistic planning in this relation? If you have any observation on that, and kindly share.
Yeah, so as I had mentioned, ICR themselves had collected a lot of his traditional practices of within the farmers and then done the multi-center as well as single-center validation. So some similar effort has to be undertaken by whoever would be interested. Today's context, because of the NEP, there would be a lot of these universities in the Northeast who would be willing to partner with you. So if you are going to embark on this ethno-agricultural work, you can all find a person who can, match your wavelength and interest in the subject matter and then strike a proposal together. So as I had mentioned, there are a lot of, agencies that are offering research grants, including the IKS division that Piyush is coming from. So you can look at those kind of avenues and then apply for proposals. Under the DST, especially for the SC/ST community, you would have certain of the schemes that are focused on that. So for the Northeast, it would be quite applicable. You can see whether your proposal fits under that particular scheme. Ministry of Tribal Affairs is also having donor, which is, Ministry of Northeastern Region. Even you can, look for funds under the donor and then see whether your proposal would be acceptable to the sponsoring agencies. So you will have to explore that depending on your area of research and your interest as well.
Okay, so kind of you, ma'am. And if there is any need to contact, then can I do by
Yes,
email or
please.
anything?
My email address has been mentioned on the presentation. The presentation will be uploaded onto your Google Drive. In addition to that, we do have a website. If in case you get the contact, you will find my email address there as well.
Okay, thank you very much. So kind of you, ma'am.
Sure, thank you. Piyush, we'll take until 5:30 and stop thereafter. We'll take the rest of the
Yes.
questions on the 30th.
Yes. So we can have another one question.
Hello.
One question.
Hello, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening. Yes, please.
Yeah, this is Lakshmikant Bhalgi from GVM's Commerce College, Goa, affiliated
Okay.
to Goa University. I do not have any question. I just want to give feedback. Your session was really good, really highly informative. Of course, it was at a very high speed. I could not match it, but it was really good. It was really good to see how Indian culture, how Indian architecture, meteorology, all these sections and departments were at its highest peaks at that time. But later on, it was mutilated, robbed off by so many looters or
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Dr.
empire.
Lakshmikant. I think we'll move on to one last question by Dr.
Thank you.
Dolon
Thank you so
Sarkar.
much.
Thank you for your
Bye-bye,
feedback.
ma'am.
Truly appreciate.
Thank you.
Dr.
Am I
Dolon
audible,
Sarkar.
ma'am?
Yes,
Am I
please.
audible, ma'am?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
you are.
What a wonderful session. Okay, ma'am, I am teaching in an engineering college. We teach IKS. So in your entire presentations, you try to cover all that area that address to IKS. So I have just wondering any query about the methodology or pedagogical aspect of this entire discipline. So one methodological or pedagogical aspect is not fit for entire domain because IKS is so vast. So how you try to incorporate all that methodological aspect or pedagogical aspect in your conversation or in your address. So I find it really difficult for integrating it in the class. So I'm just, so could you please
It
focus
is
on
very
it?
difficult, Dr. Sarkar. You cannot cover. So, in fact, the reason why I had mentioned expanse of TK in my title is for that very purpose. There are many things that I have not been able to touch upon, and as the previous participant mentioned, I went on high speed to just make sure that I cover as much possible. It is indeed very difficult. So, in fact, that is what we mentioned to Dr. Preeti previously as well. If in case you want to include IKS, you'll have to tailor make it and customize it to the participants. So if it is under the UG, depending on whether it is from science and technology, humanities, social sciences, you will have to create that kind of a curriculum so that kids do not get overwhelmed and they like what they are learning. So you will have to do that. In fact, the IKS division from Ministry of Education has also been imparting, training to faculty members and others. So you can connect with Piyush. Piyush, maybe you could just briefly touch upon
Sure.
that, and then we will close the discussion today.
Yes.
Sure, ma'am.
So, Dr. Sarkar, see, we are also developing IKS minor courses for each and every thematic areas. Please look into our website. There you will find our thematic areas, and each thematic area we are trying to develop 24 credit courses like our NPTEL courses. All are under developing by the end of 31st March 2027. All will come in the portal. Please follow our website. You will find, and besides this, you will get some examples how we are developing IKS courses. There is a tab, IKS courses by IKS division or other institution under the tab knowledge repository. Please remember knowledge repository. There
Yes,
you
sir.
will find
Noted.
different courses. Please.
Kudos,
Ma'am,
sir.
so should
Yes,
we
obviously we have to
close?
reclaim the knowledge. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Shanti Mantra, ma'am. Sorry.
Yes, please. Yeah,
Close.
Dr. Archana, Dr. Subhashni, and Dr. Nikhil, sorry, we can't take your questions today. We can take it tomorrow and in the
Yes.
subsequent days and also on 30th. So please do
And
excuse
ma'am
us.
will be there on Thursday and Friday. Ma'am will be with us again. Astu, please keep your questions with your hand. Pranam. सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ शान्ति शान्तिः Pranam participants, see you tomorrow at the same time 3:30. Please join beforehand. Astu Pranam ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. And namaste
Thank
to
you,
all.
Deepak
Thank
ji.
you.
Please close the recording. Please stop the recording.
Shwamulamaha Mohoday. Namo Namaha.
Namo Namaha.